Right, so in the return of the Brady Tkachuk, the San Jose Sharks have to spoil it, and they defeat the Ottawa Senators 2-1. And yes, the return of the Brady Tkachuk is a play on the Return of the King, the third movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In case you haven't noticed by now, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and you can really see that judging by my background on my main YouTube page. Alright, so lineup notes in this one. Matt Murray starts in net for the Ottawa Senators. And Brady Tkachuk obviously comes back in, so Parker Kelly is the odd man out. And James Reimer, a guy who always seems to play really well against the Sens, is in goal for San Jose. A minute and a half into that first period, Shane Pinto is battling for position with Mario Ferrero. Ferrero kind of bumps him a little bit. It wasn't much, but when you're going at that type of speed that Pinto was, it doesn't take much to get you off your feet. He falls hard into the boards. It did not look good at all. Right away, he grabbed his shoulder. And my first thought was, this looks like it could be a 4 to 6 month thing, much like Colin White. Pinto would come back and try it out in the second period. Obviously, we know how that turned out. DJ Smith said in his post-game press conference that it's nothing structural, and he thinks Pinto can be back soon. And I sure hope so, because the Sens need centers, but first and foremost, Shane Pinto's health is what's most important. I thought the first 8 minutes or so was dominated by the San Jose Sharks. They weren't getting a ton of shots, but they were spending a lot of time in the Sens zone. But then 10:06 into that first period, Brady Tkachuk chips a puck by an aggressive pinching Erik Karlsson, and Batherson goes in on a 2-on-1 with Josh Norris. Batherson snipes it home past James Reimer to get the Sens up 1-0. He scores his first of the season, assisted by Brady Tkachuk, obviously, and Artem Zub also picks up an assist on that play. And then Kevin Labanc would appear to score a goal, but it would be called back on an offside play. Good thing the goal did not count, because for two reasons. Obviously, number one, the Sens still get to keep the 1-0 lead at the time. But secondly, that goal from Matt Murray, that didn't look very good, and I think he would want to have that one back, so hopefully it will go a long way for his confidence that the goal did not count. Go to the second period with the Sens leading 1-0, and like I alluded to earlier, Shane Pinto, he does come back in this one. I was shocked to see him on the bench, first and foremost. He goes out for a shift, he tries it out, he doesn't take the draw, which was a sign to me he was definitely not 100%. Then he waves at the puck as it was up in the air. He misses it. He looks like he re-aggravated his shoulder there. I think it was already pretty sore to begin with, considering he was kind of adjusting it on the bench. You could just tell he wasn't right, even though he tried to come back and fight through it. He would have been better off not coming back at all. And that would lead to a Logan Couture goal, 1:58 into the second period. That one was assisted by Brent Burns and Timo Meier. That's Logan Couture's first goal of the season. And while Pinto tried to do a very noble and courageous thing, coming back with a bad shoulder in an NHL game, he would have been wiser to stay out of the game and just look after his shoulder. I want to backtrack a little bit here, because near the end of that first period, Mario Ferrero, he was looking like the dirtiest player in the league in this game, or at least Sens fans would think so anyways. He kind of hit, I think it was Zach Sanford from behind, and the Sens were already on a power play at that point, and they could have had a 5-on-3, but then Chris Tierney goes up, confronts Ferrero, however you say his name, and he takes the Sens off of the 5-on-3, totally negates it. He gets a roughing call. I forget who else it was for San Jose gets a roughing call as well, or Ferrero, he gets the original penalty, but it was just Tierney getting a rough. And for Ottawa, they got to pick their spots better. There was a situation where Ottawa could have gone on the power play last year, and Nick Paul, I think, went after Alexander Romanov, and he negated that. So for Ottawa, they got to be smarter in those situations. All right, now back to the second period. And speaking of power play, San Jose would get one, as Nick Paul would get the stick up on Erik Karlsson. It was kind of a bad penalty. Paul was turning. He had his stick in the air. It happened to hit Karlsson in the face. It was unfortunate, but kind of a sloppy penalty by Paul. Kevin Labanc was determined to not be denied of a goal in this game, as he makes up for the one that was called back earlier, as he would score on a pretty nice slap shot to get it past Matt Murray. Erik Karlsson picks up his first point against the Ottawa Senators, and William Eklund also gets an assist on that play. But don't tell Erik Karlsson about his first point against his former team, as he told Gord Miller in the second intermission interview that it means, nothing, pretty much. He didn't say nothing, but you know what he said. So we go to the third period with the Sens trailing 2-1, and Josh Norris would hit the inside of the crossbar early on in that period, and it looked like that way. And the Sens would have a really good push throughout the third period. It was not enough, though. They would pull the goalie with about a minute and a half left. I just want to mention Thomas Chabot plays the final 4 minutes and 8 seconds of the third period. And I know you want to have him out there as much as you can if you're DJ Smith, but come on, 4 minutes and 8 seconds is a bit ridiculous. So how effective is Thomas Chabot really going to be when he's near the end of a 4-minute shift? Like, come on, it's going to be kind of hard for him to make a lot happen offensively. And that would be it. The San Jose Sharks hang on to win this one 2-1. James Reimer continues to play well against the Sens. And for Ottawa, I mean, they played really well. I would have liked to seen them get more pucks on goal the final 4 minutes or so of the third period, as they outshot San Jose 11-4 in that third. But I think it could have been more had they put the heat on the Sharks, like I said, the final few minutes of that period. I just want to touch on San Jose for a little bit, because even though the Sens did outplay them and probably deserved to win, especially in the last half of the game, I thought the Sharks looked pretty hard to play against defensively. They were in the Sens' faces. It was a very chippy game, to say the least. And I didn't say it on the YouTube channel here, but I said amongst my family and stuff that, you know, without a Vander Kane this year, I think the San Jose Sharks could surprise some people, because when you get a guy who has maybe not so great character, to say the least, like a Vander Kane, out of the locker room, it does wonders for your team. And you couple that with the fact that the Sharks do still have some solid talent on their team, like Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns. I mean, yeah, Karlsson is a little overpaid, don't get me wrong, but he is still a solid player. Thomas Hertl, Timo Meier, Kevin Labanc too. They still have some pretty good players on there. And another thing I want to touch on is Sens fans booing Erik Karlsson. You know, I wasn't too big on it. I mean, it was kind of funny, but then I was like, you know, they probably shouldn't be booing this guy. A guy who really held the franchise together for so many years. I mean, let's face it, without Erik Karlsson, even in the years the Sens were mediocre, they probably would have been a pretty bad team a long time ago. Please, Ottawa Senators fans, next time Erik Karlsson is in Ottawa with San Jose or another team maybe, please don't boo him. This guy has done a lot for the franchise. So please, like I said, don't boo the guy, show him some respect. Now, changing topics, I thought Nick Paul was very good in this game. Tim Stützle only has 1 assist in 4 games this year, but the guy could easily have like 3, 4, 5 goals by now. Looks dangerous every night. He's been creating scoring chances. It's only a matter of time before they go in for him, especially on that 4-on-4. He was dancing out there. He really had the Sharks back on their heels. Now let's talk about the man of the hour, Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk, as we know, did get 1 assist in this game. I thought he looked good. I mean, there were a couple plays where maybe you could tell his timing was a little off. I definitely wouldn't be concerned about it. I mean, he'll probably be back to normal within a couple games. So those are my thoughts on this game. The Ottawa Senators next take on the New York Rangers tomorrow at 1 p.m. The Rangers are really buckling down defensively, as they've only given up 1 goal in their last 3 games. So please let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. Also, please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.